Hello. Welcome to HighRoad U. We're delighted that you're taking your valuable time to join us. We welcome you to Integration Automation Celebration with John Brandt from HighRoad Solution. If you are currently dialed into the telephone conference, remember this is a toll number, but if you have voice over IP connection on your computer, please hang up and click Mic and Speakers under the audio panel on the right side of your screen. Supporting materials for today's presentation will be made available following today's webinar. Presenters encourage questions, so please ask when prompted by clicking the chat panel and typing in your question. Our content leaders will try and incorporate in your questions during the session, but will address them during the Q&A portion at the end of the session. Please remember that HighRoad Solution is an authorized provider of CAE credits. You are only eligible to report this webinar for CAE credit if you attend live and for the entire session. Our session is eligible for 1 CAE credit. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce your speaker. John Brandt is Sales Director for HighRoad Solution. John has over 10 years of marketing experience and enjoys working with clients to help them build their marketing strategies and aiding them in achieving and exceeding their goals. Without further ado, Mr. Brandt, please begin.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate the intro, and thank you again, everyone, for joining me here today. What we'll like to talk about, of course, is integration automation celebration. So how you can take advantage of integrating and automating a lot of your messaging programs. So we'll jump into that here for a moment, in just a moment. But first, I'll just point out that if you are a Twitter fan, please feel free to follow me at JohnBrandt25. When I find interesting articles that I think are relevant, I will tweet those, or if I'm at a show and relevant content is being discussed, I'll make sure to tweet about that. So, on with the show. So the subject here today is automation and how we can try to do more through using some of the great technology that's out there. Inside and out of the association world, automation is a key topic of conversation. How can we automate so much of what we are doing manually right now? Because just as you can see on the screen, many of us are juggling many different things, trying to get it all done. Some of the programs that you are launching, you just wish you had more time to do more with, but it's going out the door with as much time and energy as you can afford to put into it. So oftentimes those programs are not really one-on-one types of communications. They're kind of a one-size-fits-all type of communication, and that nowadays is actually not satisfactory for a lot of our clients. A lot of the members, a lot of your constituents out there, they really expect you to know more about them and expect you to speak to them on a one-on-one basis. And so that sounds really difficult when you're already juggling so many things. So what we'll talk about here today is how we can automate so many of those things and still achieve the goal of having these communications be more one-on-one types of messages, more one-on-one types of communication, which of course will have higher engagement rates, higher conversion rates, because that's really what we're trying to get to, right? Higher conversion rates is what it's all about. If you're being judged based on open rates and things like that, don't expect that to last too much longer. Really, the market is, or a lot of the leadership is getting smart about how do we measure our programs, and measurement of programs is always, or should always be, based on conversion rate. So we won't delve too much into how to get into conversions, but if you have questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me and we can talk more about that. But staying on topic for automation, so automating our programs with the intended goal of increasing conversions and getting more engagement from your members, from your constituents. So luckily, technology has allowed us, or we have technology in place today that allows us to do a lot of different types of programs in a more automated way. So we can now automate content. So your newsletters can be completely automated, and I'll talk more about that here in a minute. Your membership programs should be completely automated. There should be no need for you to manually download lists or upload lists and push the button deploying membership type programs. You can automate all of those. Automating your events. Many of you right now are dealing with getting your annual conference registrations up. You guys might be having your annual conference here in the next couple weeks or so, or maybe you just finished your big event. How nice would it be to have all of your messaging programs for your big annual event completely automated, so that you don't have to spend long hours pulling lists, trying to vet lists, to parse them to who should be going in this pile and who should be going in that pile. So we'll talk more about that here in a moment. And then automating membership acquisition campaigns. So as I'm sure you're all aware, with the retiring numbers that we're seeing within the baby boomer generation, a lot of our association clients, probably you included, are scrambling to try to find ways to fill that gap, and that is a major focus for a lot of associations and nonprofits, is to try to look at acquisition strategies as a main focus for 2015 and 2016. So why not automate those? And there's lots of cool things that we can do to help you automate so much of that membership acquisition work. Okay, so that said, let's jump into automating your newsletter content. So newsletter content can be automated in many different forms. There's a wide spectrum when you ask people, automating your newsletter content means what. You're probably going to get quite a few answers all along that spectrum. So let's start on the lowest point of membership newsletter content automation. So that can be dynamic content. So dynamic content, explained at a high level, is essentially if I know that I have, let's just say, 4 groups of my membership, and I want to message to them each separately, instead of doing 4 different newsletters, I can do one newsletter and make the content for those 4 different groups populate within my framework of my template without me having to do added extra effort to put out multiple variations of newsletters. So dynamic content is considered an automation program. And again, that's the lowest level of this automation spectrum. On the highest level, it is a program that we do for some of our clients, like we do with the ASAE and their Association Now newsletter, which you may receive. You may not realize that the Association Now newsletter is completely automated. And we'll talk about that here a little bit more in depth in a second with the next diagram. But this requires an integration to your AMS and your CMS. So your content management system has to be integrated to this process also. Unlike dynamic content, where we can zip up a file and load it into the platform with all of your content, the Association Now style newsletter, which is what we call Newsletter Express Plus, does require an integration to the content management system. And this allows for the content to be loaded one time onto the CMS, and then your messaging programs will actually go out and grab that and bring it back and put it in the template. So here's an example at a very high level, and we can delve a little bit deeper into this. If you guys are interested in talking about this, again, please feel free to reach out to me. But Newsletter Express Plus allows us for the member or constituent to really drive and really dictate what content and what frequency they're going to receive from you. So the member goes on to their Preference Center page. Their Preference Center page, if you guys, again, are ASAE members, go on to your Preference Center page. You can see that you can select from an incredible assortment of preferences on content areas within your Association Now Preference Center, and you can dictate what frequency by which you want to receive that content also. So you can do it daily, weekly, or monthly. And so now that the member has made their preferences known based on content area and frequency, our system, the Newsletter Express Plus platform, actually goes to the content that you've posted to your CMS. And again, like the ASAE, they have all of the content that they post, they are posting to their content management system. Their content management system, they actually tag that within their taxonomy for the different topical areas that the article may cover. And once they've posted it there, that content can flow into the Association Now Plus newsletter. So hypothetically, member Jane Doe goes into her Preference Center page, selects 4 areas of content, and decides that she wants to receive that weekly. Newsletter Express is actually going to deploy that newsletter and say, okay, Jane hasn't received a newsletter from us in a week. Here are her 4 areas of interest, her topical areas of interest. Go to the CMS, pull back that content, and then use this template that we've preloaded and put that content on the template and deploy that message to Jane. So again, Jane could essentially get a completely one-on-one communication from you with exactly the content that she's asking for, and exactly the frequency that she's asking for. So it's, again, completely automated. That is, nobody at ASAE is actually pushing the button to send out their newsletters. So very, very high speed. If you're interested in going down that road, let me know. Please reach out to me and we can have a more in-depth conversation on that. I know that's a very high-level discussion at this point. Okay, so that is your content automation. Let's talk about membership program automation. So membership program automation, there are a lot of options here for automating. Let me start with some common membership programs that you can do right now that you're probably sending manually right this minute. So the creative, the actual email content is actually something that you're deploying, but typically it's manual. Let's talk about membership renewal programs. Actually, let me skip that. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second on the next slide. I have a diagram for that. But welcome program. So welcome program, a lot of the clients that I talk to or people that I talk to at shows, many of them are not using a welcome program. You may or may not even be sending a welcome email. I really encourage you guys to start using welcome program. For the welcome program clients out there that we have, the engagement for new members that have been put through a welcome program is substantially higher than the welcome program or the new clients or new members that have come on board that have not been put through a welcome program or maybe just received a welcome email. And the reason for this is pretty obvious. You have a new member who is going to open everything that you send them. You're in that kind of honeymoon period that could be 2, 3, or 4 weeks long. And in that honeymoon period, they, again, are opening every email that you send to them. So why not harness that? Why not take advantage of that and make sure that you are introducing them to different membership benefits? So maybe the online community, making sure that you send them a message saying, hey, have you checked out our online community? Maybe making sure that they have made it over to your event center. Different areas like that. Or maybe introducing them to your automation for your newsletter. So an email that says, hey, have you selected your preferences for your automated newsletter so that we can speak to you more on a one-on-one basis and you're getting just the content that you want from us. So those different welcome program messages can be completely automated. All you need to do is set up your welcome email and then set a trigger for new members plus 7 days, new members plus 14 days, and so on. And you can have as many messages in that program as you need to have in there. You just need to set that up and let it run. And again, you don't have to manually run any reports. You don't have to manually update lists. It is going to just trigger every morning based on the criteria that you put on there, the dates that you put on there for when you want those emails to go out. Also, you could have other types of emails that you send to your members. Maybe they're emails on CPEs. So if you're a CPA society and you're sending out CPE emails, letting people know how many CPE credits they have with you. Or if you're a bar association and you have CLE credits and you're telling people about how many CLE credits they have, those types of membership program emails can be, again, completely automated. You can decide to send one out every month as a reoccurring message, and you can bring in the personalization from your integration to display the appropriate data. So if you have a CPE or a CLE credit field within your AMS that you incorporate within your integration, you can make sure that that is incorporated and displayed properly, and you can even put formulas within your email using those types of personalization fields. So let's just say hypothetically Jane has to reach 100 credits by the end of the year. She has 60 credits currently within that CPE field. You can build within that email a formula that says 100 minus the field, the CPE credit field, and then within your email it will say, Jane, did you know you still have, and in this case, 40 credits still to achieve by the end of the year? So you can personalize those emails, again, to be a one-on-one type of communication to your constituents, your members. And again, you can automate that. You can just set it to go every month to all of your members to alert them to this type of program. Now, you might have other examples of membership type emails that you send out to your member base that you want to automate. So if you have questions about how you can do any of that, again, feel free to reach out to me directly. We can have a conversation on that. But if you have a data point for it within your AMS, then we can automate a program for that. Now, let's delve a little bit deeper into membership renewal program. So, membership renewal program. Again, you're probably doing this already. You're probably manually pulling a list of all of the people who are renewing with you 60 days out, 30 days out, or 7 days out. We've set up this type of program for a lot of folks, and it takes literally less than 2 minutes to set up the actual framework, the triggers for this type of program. And if, again, you already have the content, the actual email creative that you've been sending out manually, just continue to send that, just load it into the automation program. So now, essentially, you can have the system look and say, give me everybody who's 60 days out from their renewal date, and use this email to send to them. So you are going to have the system look every morning and say, query the system, give me everybody whose membership renewal date is 60 days out. If you have anybody that meets that criteria, deploy this message. I have another query that runs every morning that says, give me everybody who's 30 days out from renewal. And another one that says, give me everybody who's 7 days out from their renewal. And essentially, your members are going to be managing themselves out of this communication program as they renew. So if you have somebody who is within that 60-day reminder email that converts and renews a couple days after they receive the email, or immediately after they receive the email, when they would have received that 30-day email reminder 30 days in the future from that point, they won't be included in that, because now their membership renewal date is some 335 days in the future from that original, from that date. So that is managing itself based on, again, making sure that the integration incorporates a member's renewal date. And that's really easy. We actually, every time we do an integration for any of our clients, we want to make sure that we incorporate that membership renewal date as part of it. So new clients, as we bring them on board, we make suggestions to them of what types of fields they should include in the integration to ensure that we can do things in the future, or strategies that we've seen have great success with are able to be achieved with their integration. And we also set up membership renewal programs for 7 days in the past and 30 days in the past. So this program doesn't have to stop there. You can actually say, give me everybody whose membership renewal date was 7 days in the past, and say, hey, did you know that your membership expired 7 days ago, and so forth. So again, that can be completely automated. So no more pulling lists manually and having to do that. Okay, let's talk about events. Events are big topic for conversation these days. As many of you have your annual events this quarter, you may have already had it, you may have one coming up. If you still have one coming up and you're attending this, thank you for taking a moment away and talking or listening in today. Our event program automation programs, we have a lot of great success stories around this. Essentially, you can do automation for events several different ways. What we really encourage you to do is to not have your membership or your event programs be a one-size-fits-all type of scenario. We want to have your members receive email based on information that you know about them. So maybe people that have attended your annual event in the past, make sure that you recognize that. So your original invitation, your first invitation to your members, it shouldn't just be a one email that goes out the door to everyone. You should recognize that someone has been an attendee in the past. So thank you for attending last year. You know, we'd love to see you again this year. That sort of communication. Or if you have people that have gone 2, 3, 4, 5, who knows how long they've actually attended, they have a very much a sense of pride that they have attended multiple years in a row. And you want to make sure that you recognize that. And again, that might sound like a tall order, like, oh, that's just going to be extra work for me to be able to get all of those more one-on-one style communications out the door. But you don't have to make it that way. You can build personalization within the email and automate and schedule so many of those messages out in the future. And so we're not going to be able to talk very specific on your use case, but again, if you have need to kind of delve a little bit deeper into this, please reach out to me and we can talk more one-on-one about your specific needs. But suffice it to say, whenever I talk to somebody about their event program automation, we want to build multiple tracks so that you can manage folks from one track to the next. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second when I have the visual on the next slide. But you want to make sure that you target folks that are interested, target folks that have attended in the past, and so on. Also, we have an offering around managed automation campaigns through HubSpot. So we are a HubSpot agency partner. We allow for full service programs via HubSpot to help drive engagement and drive conversions for your upcoming events. If you don't know what HubSpot is an automation program, or automation platform, I should say, where we can help you build triggers within that based on behavior. So people that have gone to your website and checked out your registration page, you might not know who they are at the time that they visit your registration page. But HubSpot is going to start tracking that person, let's just say visitor 1001. As that visitor 1001 comes to your website, looks at your registration page, checks that out, maybe goes other places on your site, it tracks all of that click behavior, all of that website activity. Maybe they go to your blog. And at some point, we want to build little trigger points, little, I guess, mouse traps, where we ask them for their information to try to get them to give us a little bit more info on who they are. So this visitor 1001, we don't know much about them at that point, but if they go to our blog, for instance, one example of a mousetrap is they go to the blog. They go to the place where you're putting all your video content out there. They can subscribe to that. So now we know that visitor 1001 is John Doe. John Doe is visiting the site. He sees your registration page for your upcoming event. He sees your blog. He wants to subscribe to your blog, puts in his email address and maybe some basic information. Now you have more information on John. You can start automating programs based on activity, based on trigger points associated with that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that on member acquisition as well. But for event program information, you can marry this up. So maybe John Doe is a member already, and maybe his traffic, his actual visit to your event registration site was not based on an email. It was just him Googling or him going straight to your site and looking for your event page, your event registration page. So now you can trigger campaigns for your upcoming event through an automation program like HubSpot. And that's such a high-level explanation of what HubSpot is all about. Please let me know if you're interested in HubSpot and all of the cool things that it can do to help drive engagement, help drive your events, help drive your membership acquisition stuff. And we can talk more specifically about that. The next point on here is, let's talk a little bit more, actually go back a little bit and talk about event promotional emails and the different types of tracks that you should build when talking about event automation. So as I talked about, and this is a very simplistic view, there's 4 tracks here. Your track 1, as I previously mentioned, should be more than just a general invitation, but for this purpose, let's just say you're going to send out a one-size-fits-all general invitation to all of your members for your upcoming annual event. Now, that track can continue to go for several weeks. So maybe your event is 4 months out. You want to send out an invitation, and maybe you want to send that general invitation once per month to folks, and then maybe as you get closer, once every other week, so on. So that message track continues. Now, message track 2, those are the folks that have opened your email. And maybe you treat them differently than somebody who says, stays in track 1, who is somebody who hasn't opened up that email. And maybe track 1 stops a month in advance of the actual event because, hey, they haven't opened up any of your emails up to this point regarding the invitation to the show. Maybe we should just cut bait on that one. But track 2, for those that have opened your emails regarding the upcoming event, maybe that track continues, just an option. Track 3 is folks that have actually opened and they've clicked on the link for the registration. So that track is something that you want to, again, treat those members, those constituents different. Those are people that seem to be very interested in your upcoming annual event. So you want to build a message track associated with that. And again, these members, your constituents, your subscribers are going to manage themselves from one track to the next. So track 1, Jennifer might be in track 1. She gets that original invitation, she opens it, but maybe she doesn't click on the registration the first month. Then you send her another email about the upcoming event. Maybe this time she goes to track 3. She clicks on the registration link, but then doesn't yet register for the event. So she stays in track 3 until we finally get her to actually register in track 4. So again, we want to treat track 4 as its own distinct message track, of course, because those are folks that have registered for your upcoming event. We want to make sure that we exclude them from track 1, 2, and 3, because how annoying is that? We've all been there where we've gotten that email for an event asking us to register or something like that when we've already registered, and that is really annoying and actually a friction point for a lot of folks. But track 4, not only do we want to exclude them from those track 1, 2, and 3 in this example, but we also want to start setting up messages like in-house messages to folks that have actually registered for the event. So send them an email a week in advance or a few days in advance of the event, letting them know what the weather is like, reminding them of events during the actual conference. So like the cocktail hours, the parties, the keynote speakers, all of those things that you guys are probably already doing, but just to make sure track 4 should have several messages that are scheduled well in advance, and you can have all of these things set and ready to go. So the morning of day 1, an email just fires off automatically to all of those folks that have registered in attendance. So all of these things can be done through what we call dynamic segmentation. If you're not using us, then you might have a different terminology for what that type of segmentation tool is. But all of these types of message tracks can be managed within that type of functionality. With our platform, if you have a message scheduled to go for, let's just say, tomorrow morning, that dynamic segment will run right at the time of message send time and will update itself without you having to manually go in, update any information. It will just automatically update at the scheduled time. So you always have the most up-to-date information, the most up-to-date subscriber information as the message is queuing up and going out the door. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about membership acquisition programs. So membership acquisition, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this conversation, we are seeing a lot of baby boomers retiring, obviously. And with that, membership numbers are down for a lot of associations. And that's causing a lot of people to get pretty nervous. We have a lot of potential programs out there that we can help you with that really allow for you to fill that gap. There's lots of different strategies out there to employ, but HubSpot is a great program to help with automating your member acquisition programs. So HubSpot, again, is a program that allows you to see who is actually looking at your website, who is talking about you on your in social, who's opening your emails, maybe you're sending non-member emails, who's opening those. All of these things build up to a certain threshold, and you can build thresholds based on that activity. So for instance, Jeff is a non-member. He visits your website. He's just checking you guys out, and you only know him as member or visitor 2002. That might, so all of the activity that Jeff is accumulating of him visiting your blog site, he's visiting your event site, he's visiting your online community, and he's just, all of that activity is being logged and it's being cataloged so that when you finally get more information about Jeff, again, with your various mousetraps set up along the way, all of that information about Jeff, about Visitor 2002, is all saved. It's all part of the overall profile for, or persona for, Jeff. So you can associate different types of point values based on that activity. So for instance, Visitor 2002 visited your homepage. Maybe that's a point. He visited your blog site. Maybe that's another point. He signed up for your blog. Maybe you get 2 points for that. He checked out your pricing page. Maybe that's another 2 points. So now we have a prospect here that is essentially got 6 points. Now you can have that threshold set so that now you know who Jeff is because he's signed up for your blog, and he has 6 points. Now this sets off a trigger for you to reach out to Jeff. Or maybe you send him a message that says, hey Jeff, wanted to know if you are interested in attending this upcoming event for free, or whatever you plan to be that type of email, that type of message. Or maybe it's not an email. Maybe it's you're reaching out to that person more one-on-one. It really just depends on how many folks you have visiting your site and reaching those thresholds. If it's a small number and it's consumable by reaching out to somebody over the phone or something like that, then maybe that's something you can do. If it's something that you're seeing thousands, maybe it is a message. Maybe it's something like that. So all of that member acquisition information is something that's really helping some of our clients with getting their membership acquisition programs really pumping, really moving forward. And again, this is done all through automation. It really just takes a little time to set up the logic behind it. But once you do, it is something that you can really see drive your engagement and your conversion numbers for member acquisition. So if you're, again, wanting to talk more about that, let me know. I'd be happy to talk more in depth about that. And again, member acquisition for HubSpot can also, again, be used for events. We have a client of ours that recently used HubSpot for their annual conference and actually got 300 new registrants for their annual event that they never even knew existed before using HubSpot. So really some great success stories around that. So if you're thinking, well, this is great, but none of the strategies that you've mentioned here are things that are relevant to me, I have a couple other kind of niche questions or strategies that I want to know whether they would work within this framework also. Feel free to reach out to me, but let me mention that essentially build it and they will come. So if you have a data point or a series of data points that you can put some logic behind, some if-then queries, you can build a automation program for that. You literally can set up not just one message, but a series of messages really driving for that end result. So again, any data point or series of data points that you can come up with that you can build an if-then query around it, we can build an automation program for it. Thank you again for that. I'm actually going to open it up for questions. Jennifer, I don't know if we have any questions that people have typed in during this conversation or not.
No, sir, we haven't received any yet.
Okay. All right, well, I guess I just explained everything so perfectly. That, all right, so if you guys do have any questions that, that come up later today or in the future, please feel free to reach out to me directly at jbrandt@highroadsolution.com. Happy to talk more in depth with you about that. Again, feel free to follow me on Twitter at JohnBrandt25. And again, I try to find things that are relevant to the association marketing world and tweet about those and kind of point you guys in the right direction for what I see out there. I don't tweet about whether I had a great bowl of Cheerios this morning or not. It's really just relevant stuff that I think will really help you guys out with that. So thank you again for joining me here today on your, I'm sure, very busy day. So I'll hand it back over to you, Jennifer, to do any final house cleaning.
Thank you for joining us at the U for Integration Automation Celebration with John Brandt from HighRoad Solutions. This concludes today's program. Have a great day, and you may now disconnect.